Hi everybody, my name's Bob Saunders and I'm going to talk about three things this time. I hope it won't be too long. One is the Silver Legion, the other is the Andromeda Council, and the third thing I'll come to at the end, which is a tale told to me by a medium friend. Okay, now we'll start with the Silver Legion. Now I've got some notes as usual, so if I keep looking down, please excuse me. I have had a marvellous time the last few weeks checking out the information given by the Silver Legion and the Andromeda Council. And we'll deal first of all with the Silver Legion. This is a group of spiritual beings. I believe the lady that actually gives us the information says she's got a body down here on Earth, but she actually lives in another dimension somewhere, and I believe she says she's got a body of stone. Well, now, in the film called The Hobbit, there were some trolls that was turned into stone, but they didn't move about too much. So how she manages to do things with a body of stone, I'm not too sure, but she says she's got a body of stone, I believe. If I got it wrong, I apologise to the lady. And she works with other beings from other dimensions and other galaxies and planets, and they're a kind of warrior people. One of the people that work with her is a dragon. Now that's interesting also, isn't it? And other people have more human aspects and so on. Now, they go around the Earth, the galaxy, and they've been busy destroying reptilian bases. And they said that quite recently they destroyed all the reptilian bases everywhere, out in space, here on Earth, under the sea, everywhere, and we're free of them. And I thought, hooray! And I thought, hold on, have I ever seen a reptilian? No. And I thought, David Icke talks about them, but I've never actually seen one. I've got no evidence that they exist. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know. And so I thought, well, if this lady and all her friends have destroyed all the bases, maybe this so-called Illuminati that have been dictating what we should do, taking all our money, creating wars and creating mayhem, maybe all that will stop now that they're free of this negative influence and actually can think for themselves. Maybe they'll feel sorry and give us back some of the money that they stole off us, stop some of the wars, stop raping the earth of its oil and gas and all the rest of it that we don't need, because I'm sure zero point energy exists and could easily be made available, but I haven't noticed anything happening. Wars still exist, we still have to pay taxes, and they're still ripping every last drop of oil and gas out of the planet Earth. So I thought, hold on, what's the difference between these reptilians being here or not being here? Okay, now, Andromeda Council. This is another group, a similar group, but and come from different parts of the galaxy and all the rest of it, and they sit in council and they plan what they're going to do. They're all going to save us in some way or other, and they've got very posh sounding names, very impressive. Chairman this and vice chairman that, and it goes on and on and on. And I'll just mention, because I wrote down some of the boards, some of the advisory boards that they've set up, and these are worth listening to. I'll just read the first 6. I think there's about 12 or so. I couldn't be bothered to write them all down, but I'll read the first 6. Higher Dimensional Realm Advisory Board, Star System Membership Review Board, Galactic Federation of Planets Review Board, Oxobiology Galaxy Advisory Board, and the last one I'm going to read out, Xenobiology Galaxy Advisory Board. Now these people, these people are helping us, and they're coming here. Both the Silver Legion and the Andromeda Council are going to land in their spaceships and help us all. In fact, they're going to show themselves openly to us. But the only snag is, every time they say they're coming, at the last minute say, oh sorry, we can't come today because something's gone wrong with our spaceship, or it's not the moment, or we have to wait for the Earth to be in a certain position and we'll come back tomorrow. And tomorrow never seems to come. Now, I thought to myself, where's all this nonsense coming from? What difference has all this business made in our lives? Is there any evidence that any of this exists? I'm going to tell you a third story, and then I'll let you make up your mind. I had a friend, he was South African, but he lived in London, and he was an excellent medium clairvoyant, and he also was very lucky in that he didn't ever, or hardly ever, need to sleep. He could do a day's work, and he ran a college for psychic people during the daytime, and at night time he would swan off in his astral body and do what he called rescue work, going round saving people that were been entrapped by evil spirits or negative spirits. And he had a young man come up to him one day who said, I forget the gentleman, no, it's not that I forget, I don't want to mention the gentleman's name because he's probably still alive, and I haven't asked his permission to tell this story, but hope he'll forgive me. He said, this young man came up to him and said, Mr. Smith, I've got wonderful news for you. I have been contacted by God and his council, and I've been given lots and lots of messages, and I've been told to get these messages out to the world. So this gentleman said, oh yeah, okay, show me the messages. And of course it was the usual trite nonsense that you get from the spirit world, that if it's not coming from genuine advanced beings. So he said, okay, when are you going back psychically into the astral realms to see this group of people again? And the man said, tonight at 7 o'clock. So this gentleman said, okay. He said, just before 7, I'll go into the spirit realm. And he had the amazing ability to do this at will, much better than I can do it. And he said, I'll come and hang about round your house, and when I see your little silver cord go off, because I don't know if you know, when you astrally project, you're always connected, your etheric body is connected by a little silver cord to your real body. Some people can see it and some people can't. This man could see it. He said, when you swan off, I'll watch where you're going and follow you and see who you're really meeting. So he swanned, this young man came flying out through the roof of the house, and the gentleman followed him into, naturally, the low astral realms that I've mentioned before in other videos. God and so on. Well, I've told you before, God, you can't actually see God. It's a force, it's something else. But he went into the low astral realms. Now, as I've mentioned in other videos, in this low astral realm, there's lots of horrible things, but there's also some mischievous little children sort of things. They're thought forms themselves, but they're kind of permanent things. If you could, right, I'll break off from there just to imagine, have you ever seen children playing at being shopkeepers, for instance, that they ask mum and dad to empty the cupboards of all the tins of baked beans and tomato sauce and all the rest of the stuff you've got, and they'll dig out Monopoly money, and with other children they'll play at that, and they might even ask you, the parents or whatever, dad or mum, will you come and buy a bottle of tomato sauce from me? And you say, well, how much is it? They say, $500. Wow, that's dear. And, you know, but you play with them. It's a game. It's not harmful. It's just a little game. Now, these little sort of nature spirits, and by nature spirits, I don't mean elves and gnomes and fairies. They're other creatures, but they're little nature spirits. They're just harmless, playful creatures, and they play with people's thought forms that go off into the low astral realms. Now, this gentleman turned up, and there was about a dozen of these little nature spirits. They with their minds, they'd created a kind of a big circular room, and they'd created equally a number of thrones that they'd set round, and each one of these nature spirits was sitting on one of these thrones, and they dressed themselves in magnificent robes of purple and gold and goodness knows what. God was sitting on a higher throne than the others, and he had a huge crown on his head, and Jesus was sitting next to him, and St. Michael was sitting next to him. And when this person, this young man, came into their presence in this low astral realm, they said, the god said to him, "Oh, we're so pleased to see you again, my son. We've got a very important message for you this evening," and started to give him all sorts of nonsense. And this young man believed it implicitly. He thought it was great, And what happened at the end was that this trained medium, who was watching this scene, bursting himself with laughter, he explained to these nature spirits that was enough. Could they please stop playing with this young man and let him go? Now, you understand the little story I'm giving you, and its possible link to this so-called Silver Legion and Andromeda Council. If you listen to what the Silver Legion and Andromeda Council come out with, it's very, very impressive, and very, with these fancy names and all the rest of it, but nothing seems to happen. Nobody lands on the White House lawn. I think they just got trapped with these little nature spirits, and they're playing the game with them. They know that the two people, this lady and the other one is a man, I believe, from the Andromeda Council. I believe that very possibly, and I'm willing to apologise if I'm wrong, if suddenly one day the earth does blow up and floods come pouring in and these aliens come down with their spaceships and take us all up and save us, I'll be the first to apologise. But I think actually they're just being played a game with. But as with all these things, you decide what you believe, and I hope that the planet will end up a better world for us all having a good time. Okay, thank you, goodbye, till the next time.